Hey sheepdogs, it has been a minute, so I have pulled over on the side of the road to do this video. Something I was thinking about this morning, and I know it's been a long time since I've done a video. I have been unbelievably busy. I'll talk a little bit about what God has had going on in my life. I'll talk about a little bit later in the video, but I want to get to the meat of what I was thinking about, and that is bending the equipment you have and the environment that you work in to suit the needs that you have. And a personal pet peeve of mine is my wife's beautiful car. She has a very nice car that we are still paying on. This one, it's the only one we're paying on, and it has a seatbelt function that it will not allow you normally to shift the car into drive out of park into reverse any gear if you don't have a seatbelt fastened. Well, there's certain emergency situations that might necessitate that, i.e., I'll give you a couple of them in a moment. But you are then in a bad situation due to you're trying to move the vehicle to get to a dangerous situation, to mitigate it, or to get away from a dangerous situation, dealing with a medical emergency, etc. And so that to me is just unacceptable. And maybe it's a sign of my getting older. Maybe I'm getting crankier. I don't know. I'd like to think I'm not, but something that I have changed on this car, and I was thinking about that this morning, is I have changed the setting. It wasn't hard to do. YouTube is your friend. And I was able to change the setting on this car so that I can actually shift without having the seatbelt fastened. Now, I religiously wear my seatbelt. And I wear my seatbelt on my long rural gravel driveway that's completely private property. I signal going in and out of my driveway. I stop and check to the right on my private drive, even though there's no legal requirement, because it's the safe thing to do. I'm all about safety. But I do not like that feature on this car. And so change that setting, I can now shift it. Now, why would you need to do that? And then I want to take this to a broader scope. So dealing with emergencies, there was a it was a 4th of July event, I think, and it was a kind of a private small affair. We shot off some fireworks in my front yard, and it was pretty dry. We were very careful about it. It was years ago. It's just not something we do anymore, but we had some friends that wanted to come over, and they wanted to kind of put on a private fireworks show on our property, and they did. So later that evening, we had been very, very careful. We had, spent about 45 minutes outside afterwards, made sure that there were no fires being started by these fireworks. And about 45 minutes later, or probably over an hour actually later, we were back inside the house, and I look over and there is fire underneath my Jeep that I had. And apparently I can move when I want to. It was funny. I took off running, and I'm pretty lanky. I'm 6'4" and I got some long legs, but my friend told me that was there afterwards, he said, "Man, you can move when you want to." He said, "I didn't know what was wrong, but I knew it was wrong." Well, I took off, tearing across the living room, from my kitchen through my living room, around through the front door, ran out, jumped in my Jeep. I always keep my keys on me. That to me is a big thing about safety, is if you have an emergency anywhere, you need to have your keys on you. And I have keys to my vehicles on me and to my wife's vehicle on me, just in case something happens and I have to go to where she is and move her vehicle. It's happened where she's inadvertently lost a set of keys, or she'll be at a big event and ladies' purses look similar, and I've watched the right set of keys go on the wrong person, go home with the wrong person. And so it just happens. As American males, we typically carry our gear in our pockets, especially, I guess, as a Midwesterner. I definitely carry whatever I need on me. And generally, I can start my tractor, anything that I need to, without having to go back into the house. So carry your keys on you, obviously. But going back to this idea with the vehicle, so over here on the in the passenger seat on the front, let's say that you, in an emergency, and you have to move the vehicle very suddenly, and you've got that feature turned on, and you have placed parcels, packages of some kind, something with weight in the front seat, and the vehicle thinks, oh, there's a person there. It's not going to let you move the shifter. That's unacceptable in an emergency. Going back to that situation with the fireworks in the front yard, I could not have moved my Jeep. In other words, fire underneath the gas tank. And regardless of what mechanically would have happened to the vehicle, I didn't want it on fire. And so I took off and I went across my front yard very rapidly. And in case the Jeep was on fire, I wanted it at the other side of my yard. And so it's funny what goes through your head during an emergency. And the only damage my vehicle suffered was I knocked out the turn signal blinker on a swing that was there in the front yard. We had and still do have a swing in the front yard, and I went between the house and a tree and did like a power slide around the yard and was prepared to eject myself from the vehicle depending on the severity of the situation, or just park the vehicle at the edge of the yard and try to extinguish the fire. It was just way too close to other vehicles. It was way too close to the house, and that was not acceptable in that moment. To me, you need to be ready, that Minuteman mentality. You need to be ready at the drop of a hat to do something. So let's take that and broaden that. I do a lot of that with my police gear. And so I have duty gear that runs with me. This environment right now that I'm in is about as close to condition white as I ever get, because I've got a concealed carry on me, but I've got no duty gear with me. My wife and I are preparing to go on a trip. I made a run to get some checks that had come in from clients, and I'm going to run by the bank, and I'm going to knock out some other stuff. We're going to leave on our trip, but I literally have a firearm on me at this moment. I have a backup mag, and there might be another weapon in the vehicle. It's about as close to condition white as I get. And I'm pretty at peace with it. You'll notice even sitting here like this, talking to you through the camera, through time and space, I'm checking my mirrors and similar. But changing things and altering things to fit what your needs are, I'm big on that. So I've got a drop leg holster that I wear. Cinches up very tight to my leg. The setup is such that I can run with it, and it does not interfere with that. I'm able to draw even while running. It's important to me to have my duty gear as a police officer. For those of you who don't know, I'm a police chaplain and a police officer, as well as I have a background in church safety, some executive protection, etc. Anyway, so I recently set up a setup that has a very secure, and it's my own custom thing that I did. I just haven't been able to find something affordable that matches what I need. So I can slide this over my belt. It locks, and it's the same locking mechanism. There's a term for it, but it's the same locking mechanism that will hold on any number of other things. And so I was able to adapt that to my drop leg holster, and now I can, in about 3 or 4 seconds, I can slide that over my belt, click it into place, buckle the drop leg on, and I'm ready to go. And then the same thing is true for my I have a hard armor setup that is for entry. So if something happens and there's a shooting, God forbid, or something on duty, I always have hard armor with me, and I can switch out. I've got my shoulder mic setup is pre-rigged. I just have to move a radio. I've got handcuffs on it already. They're literally, it's a matter of sliding on, clicking into place, add a radio, go. And I have a second drop leg, and that drop leg I have, because of the weight of it. There's a reason I'm telling you all this. Because of the weight of it, I have 3 rifle mags topside, and if you've ever had to wear hard armor for hours, you start thinking about weight, about removing ounces and tenths of ounces from it quickly. And so on that second drop leg are 3 pistol mags, because I never know, I might be in a situation where I go black on ammo, something happens to my rifle, or I move into an environment where it's just too close quarters for that rifle. Any number of reasons. Maybe I'm in the fight and the guy next to me needs my pistol mags because he doesn't have a rifle out on that drop leg, and I'm going to rig it up identically where it clicks and locks over my belt and then drops down the side of my leg, and it cinches. It'll be click and snap, and I'm done. Well, that setup is designed to, gotta turn the air down here a little bit, the heat down in here a little bit, I'm about to boil. And that setup is designed to go on just as quickly, because I need to be able to go into an environment quickly and deal with whatever I'm facing. And there are several things that are lightweight, that are multi-use, that are always on that. Okay, so why do I say that? Most of us will never need that kind of gear outside of law enforcement or the Battle of Mogadishu happening in our backyard, something like Red Dawn. But when it comes to our safety gear, that ability to get to it in a hurry, and my life is compartmentalizing Mark Gungor style. I have boxes for everything, the way Mark Gungor talks about it. As a guy, I have bags for everything. And so I have a hiking bag that is always in my vehicle. It's a hiking bag / get home bag. And so I can just throw it over my shoulder, climb out of the vehicle. I've got a Subaru Outback that I adore, and I love that car. I'm coming up on a year of having it. I adore my car. And I can go off on a trail and park somewhere, hop out with a camera and that bag, and just go. I'm out of the vehicle and gone. I've got jump out, what I call my jump out setup, which I have decided that my jump out setup as a police officer is just going to be my normal duty gear. I don't wear a full duty belt. I don't have to. I'm able to keep a lot of gear up on my vest, and so I can wear a drop leg and throw Popo body armor on, and I'm good to go. And then at the same time, I also have that for other safety things when I'm doing executive protection. I have a bag that I pull out. You guys have seen that in in prior videos, and I can pull that bag out and I can just hop in a vehicle with somebody and it's just a backpack. And I've had guys look through the bag and go, oh my, I had no idea that was in there. And then, so I've got other bags and things like that. I've got some IT gear that I can just pull out in a hurry. You need to be able to move that stuff. If you can't get to it quickly, you're gonna leave it behind. And that's something that I have seen extensively just in my short time. I've been a cop 10 minutes. I'm coming up on, this is November now. Coming up on next month makes a year in uniform, but I've been beside the badge for a really long time, like rocking 16, 17 years. And so it's a really fascinating thing to me that I'm seeing, which is literally, if you can't get to it in a hurry, it's going to get left behind. I've seen guys not grab medical gloves as law enforcement because in the moment, in the heat of the moment, they forgot to replace them in their pouch, or they don't make a habit of keeping those on them. And I'm the glove guy as a cop. And so I would recommend, if you've got medical gear that you're grabbing, keep extra gloves close to hand. Extra medical gloves, because it's kind of like being the ammo fairy. And I can't remember if it was Clint from Thunder Ranch. I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Colonel Grossman that was talking about that if you're the one who brings extra ammo to the firefight, that you are the ammo fairy, and everybody loves you and you get free beer for life. Well, as someone who doesn't drink, that part doesn't matter to me, but saving my brother's backside in a firefight does. And so carrying those extra gloves and having those ready to go, if it's not staged, any paramedic, any EMT, any firefighter, any police officer, anybody with a military background who's done anything is going to go, yep, you're absolutely right. You need to have that gear staged and ready to go. And so I'm the glove guy. In the front of my admin pouch on my duty gear armor, there's probably 6 pairs of gloves, and I don't have them on a belt. They're up in my setup, because several times I've had just enough time, literally. I mean, this is no fooling. I've had times where I've had something where they're like, get here now, and I've got just enough time to run around to the back of my surveillance Subaru, which is what I've begun calling it, and grab my drop leg and grab my body armor, my med bag, and I'm running to jump in the cab of a vehicle and had a guy hand off a rifle to me as I'm climbing in. I've had that little time. Okay, the same thing is true with medical events, and that's going to be the biggest thing we're going to see in church safety, right, is medical events. So I carry about 6 pair of gloves, and what I found was adjust my grip here. What I have found is, for me, it's an old lens case, because I do some photography, product photography, and I've got not lens, but ND filter case. And oddly enough, I can put, it's 6 pair easily enough in it. It's a trifold. I lay it out. I can slide them into the sleeve itself, and it goes right into my admin pouch perfectly. There have been as many as 8 sets of gloves in there, and I carry a couple of different sizes. And with the way I was taught with medical emergencies is, if you're dealing with blood, grab your blue gloves. That way you can see the blood. And a lot of times I'll use black the rest of the time. And I can slide those on in a hurry. And I am to the point of I've become the glove guy as an officer. I don't know how many medical events I've gone to on duty, and officers just walk by and hold their hand out, and they don't even have to say anything because they know I've got gloves for them. And they're like, love you, boo. And they put their gloves on. That has become a thing with me. And so I'm adapting and modifying the gear that I carry, and how I carry it, and where I carry it, and all of that stuff, so that it is staged for when I need it. Well, it's giving me it's nice because it's a very rapid return. Like I very quickly learn what works and what doesn't. And when we're doing things in the safety world, that isn't something that anywhere near as often, unless we've maybe got a very old, we have an elderly congregation, or a very accident-prone young congregation, especially little kids' boo-boos and stuff and knee scrapes, you'll find very quickly that you are hunting for gear. And by the way, I have my trauma bag that I carry that my trauma bag has 2 ballistic plates in it. I can use it as a shield. I'm big on adapting things to what I need. And I have 2 old soft ballistic plates that were part of a body armor setup. They're retired, but they will definitely stop incoming pistol cartridges. And so if I'm running into a medical event, on the front of that are strapped multiple pistol mags, multiple, not that you need that in church safety per se, but you never know, and multiple AR mags. And then I've got a full trauma gear loadout inside of it. And then a couple of set of shears, multiple sets of gloves that are in the top. And then there's a sealed, and it's a long-term use, reusable Ziploc bag. I forget who makes it, but it was actually something that was for kitchen use, and my wife got it as a gift, and she ended up not liking them. They were hard to keep clean, and I took one look at this, and she was like, I'm not going to use these. And I was like, but your husband might. I'd like to have that. And she's like, take it. So in that are boo-boo stuff. I have boo-boo stickers in the form of Band-Aids and little cleaning aids, little wipes and stuff for minor boo-boo stuff, because I cannot tell you how many times we've gotten to a call. We went to a call this week where a lady did harm herself, but we were told there was blood everywhere. No. It was more abrasions. There were some cuts, but it was not as bad as it was called out. We had actually requested an ambulance, and fortunately, when the 3rd officer arrived on scene, I was able to say, hey, we're not gonna need an ambulance. So that part was fortunate. But going back 2 steps to having your gear staged, you will very rapidly, especially if you practice with it. So there's 2 parts where I'm going with this, and then I'm gonna bring it back a little bit. When you're responding to something of a medical nature, and you're like, it took me longer than it should have to get to my gloves, light bulb, and start adapting those things, and carry some boo-boo stickers and some minor stuff in there, because that's a lot of what you're going to deal with. And I cannot tell you how much I've done it as PR for the badge, where people are like, I've never had a positive interaction with a cop. Well, what are the only interactions you've ever had? Well, I used to speed a lot. I'd get pulled over a lot. Oh, okay. Well, that is one great way to meet a cop. And, but it was one of those things that I'm able to do, like almost apologetics for the badge as I'm there talking to folks. And then people realize that they can talk to me, and they're like, well, I always had this question. Do you mind if I ask you this question? Go for it. What do you got? And I'm handing them alcohol wipes, and they're cleaning their boo-boo on their kid or on themselves. And then going from there, we're just having a conversation now. You will rapidly be able to adapt your kit because of that. Can you tell I'm not in my car that has the camera mount? And then being able to do that kind of turnover with your gear, to where you're like, okay, I need my shears up front, I need my boo-boo pouch, I can lay it off to the side, I need to be able to get to my gloves now. An alarming amount of bodily fluids. I have walked through just about every conceivable body fluid now, just in the almost year that I've been a police officer. Be prepared to run up and somebody has fallen and hit their head and had a major medical event. Be prepared to have to walk into vomit, blood, urine, feces, and all of them in some liquid form. Be prepared for that. And then that also, you might think about what you want to wear for shoes, because I don't really want my tactical flip-flops or SOCOM sandals. I don't want those to be messed up. I'm all about closed toe, high traction shoes. But I guess the gist of this is me thinking about this vehicle is being able to make sure that you can use what you need the way you need to use it in a hurry. And I'm not above modifying things to make them work. So as always, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you. Remember Semper Disciplina, that lifestyle of discipline training. I just realized as I'm closing this out that I did not give you an update on what is going on with me. I'll put together another video and I'll kind of update you on where the Lord has me right now. So God bless.